Hello and welcome back to Just Kiss My Frog. Today on the show, I feel silly doing this intro, so I feel like I'm on Blue Peter or something. Hello and welcome back to Blue Peter. Today on the show, tortoises will die. Used toilet rolls will be made less useful. And you will watch a failed gymnast attempt to be a monkey trainer. I don't know. Anyway, we don't mind that. Welcome back to Just Kiss My Frog. Today we're going to be talking films about writing. Now, when I was doing NaNoWriMo back in November, I was looking to procrastinate in a healthy way. So I was looking for films about writing. Here are some of the most helpful, note I didn't say best, most helpful ones I found. All of the films, I think, maybe not Stranger Than Fiction, but all the other ones, pretty sure Stranger Than Fiction, anyway, are available on Netflix. Not Spot. I pay my $5.99 a month, alright? The first one is an indie film that was partially funded by an Indiegogo campaign, don't you know? It's called Not Another Happy Ending, and it came out in 2012, and it features somebody you might know as Amy Pond. Also, a very hot Frenchman that IMDb is telling me is called Stanley Weber. I love this film. The first time I watched it, I wasn't sure, but after the fourth time I watched it, I just got weirdly addicted to it. I stopped, I finished it, was don't know, and just started watching it again in the same sitting, and then I just kept watching it and I was like, this is actually really brilliant. So it's an indie film. As a producer, there are parts of it that I'm like, oh, that was cut a bit clumsily, oh, that bit was awkward. But in general, it's beautifully shot. If you like good interiors and Scotland and Edinburgh and a beautiful, rough, acoustic soundtrack with some bagpipes thrown in, you'll bloody love this film. It's about a woman who wrote a book and it did really well, and now she's trying to write the second book. And her publisher, hot French man, has a very, Beatrice and Benedict relationship with her. They hate each other, historically, and he's trying to get her to finish this novel. And she starts getting writer's block. And she goes to the toilets and this woman walks past and she's like, nice lipstick. And then she looks at the woman and she's like, I know you. And she's like, yeah, I'm a character in your book. And a character from her book starts visiting her. It creates its own world, it creates its own rules, and it's magical realism with some witty banter and kind of much ado about nothing-ish. The next one, and this is why I mentioned that they're not all good, is The Rewrite. Yes, Hugh Grant having a midlife crisis. Once again, this time in a university as a failed scriptwriter who wrote one really good film that everybody knows and is now working at a university to pay the bills and teach screenwriting. If you're interested in screenwriting, it's really cool. If you're interested in watching Hugh Grant have yet another midlife crisis, go for it. There's some incredibly questionable scenes in this, and it's not in a triggery kind of way, just in a why is he sleeping with a student again? And he's just being a dick again. But it's an interesting concept behind how you create stories and what you're remembered for. I think the film has a sense of humour about Hugh Grant playing that same character and kind of prods him a bit and plays with him in a different way. So there's a part in the film where he's trying to get this script off the ground and trying to get agents to look at it, and they're like, we're not looking for that right now. We're looking for a strong, kick-ass female character. And he's like, I don't want to write a strong, kick-ass female character. And they're like, well, that's the only thing that's selling right now. And I was laughing at the industry as well, because it's kind of patronising to be but yeah, anyway, there's some interesting parts of it, and if you're into Hugh Grant, as I kind of am in this really weird hate way, then you'll love it. The third one is Authors Anonymous. This is about a dysfunctional writing group, and it's shot in a documentary style, which makes it super interesting and also really slows down the pace, so it kind of can get boring at the same time. It's really weird. Basically, the catalyst is that there's this character called Hannah, who is Kaylee Cuoco from The Big Bang Theory. There's lots of eccentrics in the group, but she is one of the nice ones. She's one of the kinder ones. And what happens is that you watch this slow breakdown of the group when Hannah, the nice one, who everybody thinks is kind of stupid, but they support anyway because she's nice, gets a book deal. And she's the only person to get a book deal. And she gets her book published, and then she sells the film rights. And everyone's like, we thought you were the stupid one. And she kind of admits that she's never read Catcher in the Rye, and she doesn't really read books at all. And it's they're struggling with her success of this big commercial book while they're trying to write their big magnum opus, serious, meditated Hemingway masterpiece. And then also just watching somebody else just get published and be maybe I just want to be published. Watch all of their slow demise into madness after this revelation. And it contributed to my ever continuous in a monologue about commercial fiction versus literary fiction and what the difference is and what the merits are and why we think they're in competition in any way and why they both have a place in the world and what we think being an author is, and generally ego, because we all have one, especially by what we create. So yeah, I would recommend it, even though I'm like, it could be better. And then lastly, one that you all should have heard of, but one of my favourite films of all time, Stranger Than Fiction. Queen Latifah, Will Ferrell, Emma Thompson, and Maggie Gyllenhaal. I could just watch them in a room in silence for an hour and a half and be really happy. Like, this is one of the best films about writing fiction that I've ever seen. It's so intelligent. It's basically about structuralism. It's about death of the author. It's about structuralism. It's about how we treat fiction. It's about everything, and it's just one of the classics, man. I don't know how to describe it. 2 storylines. Emma Thompson is a tortured, borderline suicidal, absolutely unhinged writer, and her most recent novel she's struggling to finish. Queen Latifah has been assigned to make her write that novel. Other side of the story, Will Ferrell is the most boring person you will ever meet in your life. Counts how many times he brushes his teeth in the morning, and one day something very strange happens and it spirals him into this different way of living, and he meets Maggie Gyllenhaal, who's this like tattooed revolutionary feminist woman who's like, who are you boring twat, Will Ferrell? I'm not going to give it away, but it transpires that their lives are linked in this very, very strange way, and okay, I'm crying. I'm not crying, but I will cry if I think any more about it. It's got amazing pacing, an amazing script, an amazing soundtrack, a really clever way of making things a bit different, a bit designy almost. The film's a bit designy, I'd say. What are your favourite films about writing? Let me know in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed those, and I will see you in my next one. Frogs Flying out. Watch it.